This is Scott with Hi-Lux Optics, and I'm here with
John Schwent with Cam Valor Outdoors.
Amanda Elsenboss from the National Guard.
I'm First Sergeant Adam Stauffer with the Army Reserve Shooting Team.
Conrad.
Master Sergeant Hedrick.
Walt Zidane.
Dan Dutzman.
Noah Poirier.
Julia Carlson.
Specialist Fitzpatrick.
Mike Boddicker.
Gunner Sergeant Randall. Grant from Creedmoor Sports.
So I just want to know, how do you get your head in the right space to go and shoot a match?
That's a great question. You know, at the end of the day, you can all...
Usually, I don't think about anything. I just stare at the target, and when it pops up, I shoot it. Just shoot the target.
This sport's very funny when it comes to mine. In some ways, it's better to try not to think at all. Just get up there and do it. Don't get yourself excited. Never keep score. Don't keep score in your head. Never ever keep score in your head. Just take in each individual shot. Every shot is equally as important as the next, and you just have to look at it that way. Never keep score.
A lot of it is going to be confidence. Only focusing on the things that you can control. A lot of environmental things that you don't have a say about, but doing what's within your capabilities and having confidence in yourself.
I don't shoot for score. I shoot to better myself in a sense. I shoot with a mindset that's very relaxed. Nothing at stake, which makes it easier for me to keep a clear mind. It's kind of like when you get angry and you're shooting, say if you have a bad shot, anger only drives you farther away from your goals. So what we like to do is stay clear mind and in a good mood in a sense. So.
The biggest thing is just go into it with a lot of optimism. Try to keep all that negativity at the house or just nowhere at all. Always think about how many points you're going to gain, not how many you're going to drop. Just coming in and just go through the process that you know what works, everything that's going to get you that 10, and don't think about, oh, well, I messed that up, because as soon as you start thinking about what you did wrong, you're going to increase the chance of it happening again. So just focus on your process from start to finish, and at the end of it should be a 10.
You know, at the end of the day, you can teach an individual how to pull a trigger and squeeze a shot, make a well-aimed shot. In order to do that for 20 shots or for a 50-shot match or an 80-shot match, half that battle is what you do before you ever come out to the range.
For myself, I like to envision the match, and I do a lot of mental preparation. And I see the match, I see the range, I shoot the entire match, and then I keep looping that through so I know what to expect when I'm out there.
Well, I try not to think about I'm at the national matches. I try not to let that get in my head. Just act like it's every other match, every other practice. I'm just here to shoot, have fun.
You know, there's always a lot of pressure. Always a lot of pressure on the shooters, especially in a team match like this. But one of the things I try and do is I try and focus more on the basics, on the natural point of aim, being able to break good shots, listening to my coach, having good zeros, and just focusing on the basics. And then the rest of the stuff kind of takes care of itself.
It's a little bit of just taking your time and thinking about what you've done in practice. You know, we do practice a lot, and when you try to practice the mindset of shooting a match, you want to try to shoot the match when you get to it. You know, kind of that way. I mean, it's one of those Zen things where you can actually get out here and say, I need to get into a zone, but you don't want to get into that zone too early. You don't want to get into the zone back here. You want to be up there on the firing line. Once you walk up on the line, for example, you can be jovial back here with the guys. You can talk to them. You don't necessarily have to isolate yourself, close yourself off, and wear yourself down mentally before you get up on the line.
Mindset is a pretty important thing, and when you first come out here to get yourself in the right mindset for shooting is you got to think about what your goals are. And sometimes your goals may change based on the weather conditions and the situation that when you first get out there. So if you got a beautiful day where weather's just great, typically what I'll do is I'll go, okay, I'm just here to confirm my no win zeros, nothing fancy, and focus on what I know is the fundamentals, just staying relaxed, breaking each shot in the center of the target. But as the weather starts to get more pushy, as an example, the wind's going pretty rampant, my goals may just be to try to break my shot in aiming black with that additional movement. You kind of have to accept the conditions and work with it a little bit.
A lot of people, when they face nervousness and they talk to me about how I remain calm, I ask them to answer a question. And everybody's answer to this question is a little bit different. I ask them, why do they shoot? And the answers to that question, whether it be that they have a family connection to it, or they really enjoy it, or there's a legacy of being on the range. And if you think about all the positive things about why an individual person shoots, it can kind of ground you and you don't think about the stress.
So if you do end up dropping some points up there, if you miss a shot completely, how do you get back in that space?
For some guys, it's hard. For myself, it's
Well, it's hard to do, but one of the things you want to do is you want to just have a mindset that those shots are in the past. You can't do anything about them. What you can control is the stuff that's going on in the future. You can control the shots ahead.
The best thing to do for myself is I start back at square one. So I forget about any of the shots that have happened that weren't the answer I was looking for. And I start the entire process back at step one and work my way completely through it.
Even if it's a bad shot, as long as I'm on call, I know what I did majority of the time. To stay back in a good space, it's done, it's over with, and just focus on the process, not the product. So if the process is there, the product will show up downrange.
Those shots are gone. You got to let them go. Focus on the next thing that's coming up. That you don't let the past haunt you. Focus on the next thing coming.
I usually just try not to think about it too much. I don't really think about anything when I shoot. I just stare at the target. When it pops up, I shoot it. And if I hit it, great. If I don't hit it, that's cool too.
And what I do is I just say to myself, shoot a 10, shoot a 10, follow through, shoot a 10. You don't want to be negative like don't shoot an 8, don't shoot a bad shot. You just shoot a 10, shoot a 10.
Now when you have a bad shot and you start getting angry, anger usually moves you away from your goal. There's something that happens in the brain when you get really frustrated and angry at yourself. And sometimes they're for little mistakes, like, oh, I moved the knob the wrong way, or I misread the wind. What happens is, what I've seen in me and some other shooters, that you lose your ability to problem solve when you get angry. In an intense, short period, and you've got to make some quick decisions, you've got to maintain the ability to resolve the problems quickly so that you can keep shooting.
That takes a little bit of self-analyzation. You know, you're looking at your data book, you're looking at yourself like, why am I not performing to my capabilities? You know, looking at where your zeros are, where you're grouping at, got to make some changes if necessary. What is it that I'm doing today that's different than previously that I'm not performing? And then try to focus on making sure that every shot, the position feels right, it looks right, kind of basically getting back into that mode of remembering what you are capable of and focusing on that. Just keep fighting through it and doing what you know how to do, keeping a positive mental attitude. Like, I know I can do this, I've done this before. Just focus on that good Will-aim shot for each and every individual shot. If you got one bad shot, doesn't matter, but you just got to focus on each individual shot as they come up.
You know, that's when you shoot a bad shot or when you crossfire, you know, it's those that have and those who will again, it happens. It takes a lot of mental discipline to truly forget that shot. For me, it's trying to do a mental reset, because at the end of the day, the last shot doesn't matter whether it was an X or a crossfire, it's done. So if it's a 50 shot match, it's really, for me, it's 50 one-shot matches. So I'm just trying to give that next shot a chance to be in the 10 ring. And if you just treat each individual shot as its individual match, I don't worry about the score. I don't worry about that yard line. You know, I might have done really bad, and you have those days, really bad wind days. But knowing that first off, wind affects everybody the same. We're all going to be challenged in the wind. But the next yard line, the next stage of fire, that's a brand new opportunity for you to go out there and be a hero and do what you do. But if you keep pondering about what happened on that last shot, you got to get past that. You truly got to let it go. The only thing that you can really affect is the next round in the chamber. So you continually to work with that, and that takes time. The mental management piece takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. When I go to practice for the firing line and I'm practicing at my 200-yard range, I approach that as the national championships. Every time I mount the rifle and I break a shot, it counts every time. And so over time, what I have found that there's no any extra pressure on me because I'm at the national matches. I shoot national matches every week because every time I go to the range, I treat it as it's the national match. It always counts. And at some point, it's just normal. It's just what you do. You just get back in the car and drive. I just get back on the rifle and break a well-aimed shot. So the extra pressure we put on ourselves, that's all self-induced. Get away from that. Focus on the next round in the chamber. And you know, at the end of the day, let the score take care of itself. Don't be worried about the score. One shot at a time. That would be my recommendation.